Okay, everyone. It's been a long day, but
All right, hear me out.
you want to eat my sister?
All right, before you say, can I say something and you won't be mad?
Hello, and welcome back to our second episode on Dungeon Meshi here at the Tokyo Podfathers Anime Podcast. So Panic and I previously came together to talk about the first half of Dungeon Meshi and how much we adore this manga and how excited we were that it was finally getting adapted. So this is the second half of the TV show discussion, or I guess I should say the second half of the first season, since they have confirmed a second season that will cover the entire rest of the source material. Once again, just like last time, we will not be having any spoilers for unadapted manga stuff on this episode, at least not up until the very end of this podcast, at which point we might give a warning that we're going to talk about stuff to come in next season. And then
Right.
you'll have plenty of time to dip out if you so choose. Panic.
Hello.
So, it's been another 11, 12 episodes since last time we talked about this. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about the second half of the show? Do you think it held up to the quality of the first one?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. it's so
Yeah,
consistent.
I think so too.
Peak the entire way through.
Some of the best stuff is still yet to come.
Yes.
But this was the section of the series where things kind of get turned on their heads and you start seeing the stakes that are at play for the first time.
Yeah, it's no longer just like pleasant dungeon crawling. It's like people's lives. A lot of people die. A lot of people get brought back, and we get
Yep.
some deeper insight into specifically Marcel and Senshi.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of backstory stuff
Yeah.
in this part.
Chilchuck is slowly becoming everyone's favorite character.
I love God,
He's so
I
great.
think-
He's just the local union rep.
Well, and I think to get ahead of ourselves a little bit, one of my favorite things about the Changeling arc is seeing human form Chilchuk.
Oh, yeah.
Because it so starkly reveals who he actually is. Like
He's just an
everybody,
old fuck.
everybody, especially Senshi, like thinks that he's young. But no, he's actually just like a skeevy dude, like in his like mid 30s.
In human terms, he's like mid 40s. Actually, he's just like
yeah.
old and tired. You find
He's
out-
got like the 5 o'clock shadow. I guess
Yeah.
halflings don't grow beards.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's got to be tough. That's why they keep getting mistaken for
Right.
kids all the time, which beautifully. Already jumping all around, like with the dryads, Senshi being like, "Avert your eyes, little one. Don't look."
Yeah. That is so funny. That's one of
Motherfucker's
the
married.
funniest panels in the whole manga.
Motherfucker has a wife. He's got three
The other
daughters.
one is yeah. When like Senshi sits him down and is like, "Listen, it's about time someone told you, and I guess I have to be the father figure here. Have you ever heard about the birds and the bee?"
And he just screams like, "No! This is too awkward." It's great. I think
Yeah.
I saw recently a quick little text meme. Where it's like, Marcel is in a survival horror story, Chilchuck is in The Office, Senshin is in Stardew Valley, and Leos is in Dungeon Meshi. He's just living
That's
his
awesome.
best life. Chilchuck is
Yeah.
just there looking at everybody like, what the fuck are you doing? Marcel is like living a life of constant dread.
I do love that.
Like, the priorities are all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know what Izutsume is living. She's just like, she's there.
I was gonna ask. She's just being in a cat, you know.
She's just being the cat.
She's just doing cat shit.
And she's weird to place in the dynamic because in a sense she's like a very late addition in terms of the length of the story. It's like over a third of the way through and then they get the fifth team member.
Yeah.
But I think she works great still. I mean, she has this whole thing with Marcel going on. She's Marcel acknowledging the girl part of the cat girl thing. Where really I'm wondering, like, what the fuck were they doing with the Shuro group? Like, was no one talking to her ever besides Big Ogre Girl? Like, she has no manners, no sense of teamwork. It's just
They don't seem to have like tried to rehabilitate her at
No.
all.
not at all. Like, she runs off on her own immediately and is almost killed by wolves, and that is when she learns the power of friendship. And
Right.
that it's worth sticking with people even if you don't know them.
And at least then she does kind of like, she looks back on some stuff from her interactions with Shura's party and everything. So it's not like
she does try
she
to
meets these new
console-
people and immediately has
tries-
a friend for the first time. But
She tries to comfort Marcel at the end, and that's like the culmination of her arc in this show so far.
Yeah.
It's like learning to be like compassionate, caring about other people, even if it's performative. Like, she knows she's supposed to do it. She's obviously uncomfortable doing it, but she knows it's the thing to do because she's crying.
it didn't seem like Shura's party really had a lot of emotional warmth going on.
No, they don't seem like great friends.
No. They're kind of there because they have to be most
Except they all love Shuro.
Right. But they're all kind of there for him.
Right. Like they're
They're not really on an adventure as much as they're doing their jobs.
Yeah, right. They're not a party as such.
So Shuro's party is introduced properly, like
17?
right after where we left off last time.
Kind
So
of right
I-
after. It's a couple of episodes after, because first Marcel has to turn to stone, and
Oh, that's true. I forgot about Marcel turning to
And
stone. Yeah.
she turns to stone. They fight a cockatrice. Laios gets mana sickness for the first time and starts seeing dead people. It's revealed
Yep.
much later that he's still seeing them, even though like,
He's like,
he thinks it's
I
just
thought
supposed
this was
to be
just
this
part
way.
of the mana sickness.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm still seeing. He's just talking to ghosts.
Uh-huh.
Like, who are you talking to? Oh, it's the ghost from the mana sickness. Oh, no, that's supposed to be way over. What the fuck?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he has the horrible mana sickness. And she comes back and she's mad that she was used to like press some vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, you make do with what you have, right? You got a
Yeah.
human-sized statue. Might as well squeeze some roots or whatever it was.
I love that fake out too, where she's about to turn to stone and they're giving her all these instructions, and it
Oh, yeah.
totally fools you into thinking that this is like a way to
Yeah.
prevent the curse from taking effect. And then it hits her and like, no, this is just so that if anything bumps into her while she's made of stone, her arms won't fall off.
I know what to do. First, take off your pants, then
Yeah.
crouch together, cover your ears, close your mouth,
Yeah.
and it all ends up with her turning to stone in the most inconvenient pose possible. But she comes
Yeah.
back. Like, they all pull whatever they do. Like, Chilchuk looks for roots. I forget what Senshi does. Probably
I think
cooks
Senshi,
something.
like,
he probably cooks
brews
something
the
with
thing
the.
together.
Oh, I think he cooks something with the cockatrice, hoping that would
Yeah.
revert it. And Laios is practicing his healing medicine.
Uh-huh.
And then she turns to normal, and no one knows if it's just because she's an elf and resistance magic, or if it's any of the other four.
Right.
No one knows what worked.
Another fun thing from that section of the show is the introduction of the cleaners.
Yes.
I think that's a great little addition to
It's a fun little explanation for why things reset and not or don't stay broken. Like
like the
everything
dungeon biome.
everything is actually made of this malleable magic stone material that moves around and fixes itself. So they hide
Gets
in a
rid of any of
soft
the signs
wall.
of previous adventurers that have come
Right.
through.
Like, that's why the whole place isn't covered in blood and skeletons. It
Yeah.
gets removed.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's a cute little fact. Well, fact.
But really, the big thing comes up in the episode after that. Harpy/Chimera.
Harpy / Chimera.
So this is like
Big bird.
a big smashing together of a few different elements of the show, with the main party, Shuro's party, and Kabru's party all coming together just in time to get attacked by the giant monstrous version of Phelan. This fight was so good.
Yeah, it was great. Like, we see Chimera Phelan just absolutely destroying people, crushing heads left and right.
Yeah, like literally just like splattering the heads of Shuro's teammates.
It's pretty gruesome. It's like, that's not her at all. The kind cleric. But now she's just like this monster.
Yeah.
Which also, like, the Chimera form is so good. It's beautiful. The half griffin, half dragon, absolute unit. Like, did you see the statue they're figure you can buy of it?
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
It's like the size of a goose.
What the fuck?
Like, the Phelan part is the size of a normal anime figurine, but the rest of it is so big. It's legitimately the size of, like, I'd say a big duck, small goose. That thing is truly gigantic.
How much does that cost? That's got to be.
It's got to
be
$1,000. Got to be expensive. I kind of want it. Not gonna lie. It'd be fun for like D&D or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. You could use that as a battle fig,
like an ancient red dragon. No, that is honestly so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would love to have that.
Yeah.
In the manga, did she always have like the feather underboob thing going on?
Yes.
She did? Okay.
She did.
I did not remember
But it
that.
is less notable because it's all like white and white.
It's all the same color.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not skin colored.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That always felt like every time she showed up.
That would be a fun
out.
addition. Like they do that for the anime specifically.
Yeah.
Giving her like bird underboob.
Uh-huh.
No, she's got like the feather like elbow glove thing going on and a little bit of underboob.
I see.
It's just cool.
A panel for context, but yeah, I guess now that I know what that's supposed to be, I can see it.
Also, belly button.
Yeah, her belly button is actually human and out in the manga, which
just
is
because
not. The anime is actually more covered up, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, she
yeah.
fucking wrecks shop.
She kicks their ass.
Izutami goes missing. You see Chilchuk and the one halfling who hates Chilchuk. They're hiding together because when push comes to shove, might as well hide. Like Chilchuk knows what to do. Follow the union.
Chilchuk is a non-combatant.
He's a non-combatant. He knows how to hide. He's just great.
Yeah,
chuckle fuck. chill fuck.
He's kind of like the DM PC,
right?
They add to the party. It's like, okay, you need someone who can pick locks, but I'm not gonna help you with anything that's important, guys.
But I can't fight. Like he can shoot an arrow, but that's it.
I think he shoots one arrow over the course of the show so far.
I think he shoots an arrow when they're fighting the dragon, and that's it.
Okay, he fires one at like the golem that fucks up.
But it's mostly like for distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after they manage to drive her off, we get the manly conversation between Shuro and Laius, aka beating the shit out of each other while yelling.
Wasn't that before? I think they had the talk
before
she showed up.
I thought that was. I thought it was after she shows up that they have like an argument about what happened.
Nah, because then Shuro would be like, "What was that?" Instead, it's like Laios telling him, "Okay, this is what happened. Don't be mad."
Okay,
it's like they go because they say they found Phelan, so they go have a little aside and.
No, it's definitely after because they're beating the shit out of each other while everyone else is like resurrecting the dead party members and everything. And then when when everyone else finishes that shit, they're like, okay, should we pull those two apart now?
That is right. And they have a talk while they do it. And it's like, we find out that Laios has just been reading him wrong for their entire relationship. He thought
more
he was
just like-
he thought he was so interested in all the monster factoids he was telling, and that he wanted to hang out all the time. He just barges in when he's trying to flirt with Falin. He's not reading the room at all.
More of Laios being a total idiot.
Total dumbass. But at the same time, Shuro.
I thought you were my best friend, dude. Why didn't you tell me you hate me?
You dumbass! I was so excited to have made a friend. You should have told me. I was like, that's so sweet. And Shuro does also eventually, instead of saying he hates that about him, it becomes, I envy that. Like just being able to not overthink and just talk to people. Like his enthusiasm and friendliness. And blind trust he has in everybody. What the fuck is this? Info dumping. Falin doesn't info dump.
Falin info dump sometimes.
Right.
She also is into all the monster shit, just like he is.
She's just as bad as Laios.
Yeah.
She also doesn't know
understands
people's
social interaction.
Not really, because she does the same, like what Laios did with Shuro, she does with Marcille. Just like keeps coming up to the same one person because she's so excited to have made a friend. The difference is Marcille liked it.
But Marcille likes it when she does it, but doesn't like it when Laios does it. You see what I'm saying?
It's because she's racist.
What?
No. It's because
there's a lot of racism in this show, but this is not an example of that.
But it's like cool fantasy racism.
It's cool. It's fantasy racism, so that makes it okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel like we should also readdress at some point the Yuri question.
Yeah.
The over Yurification of Falin and Marcille. Like, I'm more in line with it now, I feel. But that's
what I was gonna say too.
That really did become the one thing people ran with. It's just how gay these two girls are. And that was never, like we said it last time too, that was never my impression when reading it.
Yeah, I think it's a totally valid reading of the manga, but it's so much like less of the vibe in there than it is in the anime.
Like it's not a romantic.
It definitely grew on me though.
Yeah, it's not a romantic series in that sense. Like romantic relationships aren't really at the forefront
part of what's going on here. Yeah.
Like Laios and Marcille have some tender moments here and there. I don't know. I mean, by the end of it, maybe. I don't know. It's like nothing is ever confirmed, but I feel like the anime adaptation, they do lay it on very thick.
Right. And I said last time that I was really looking forward to like a specific chapter to see how they were going to handle it given the recontextualizing of people's relationships here. And we ended up finishing season 1 6 chapters before that. So
is this the succubus?
The succubus, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Something to look forward to.
Also another, there's so many great little. She's so good at coming up with these little like one chapter fantasy interactions. Like, what would happen if they this? What would happen if they stepped in some mushrooms and changed race for 2 chapters? What would happen if?
And that is like the most genius part of.
It's almost episodic
like,
in
the
that
entire
way.
thing.
It's like phenomenon of the week.
It's one of those things, like we were saying last time, that just shows you how much the mangaka loves these characters. Like, she just loves coming up with silly ideas of situations to put them in.
And everything is so thought through. It's insane. Like, the level of just flawlessness. There's no holes left over. There's nothing to pick at. It's all considered.
Yeah.
And that's why
he even addresses like, if like these mushrooms can turn a human into an elf, then why isn't there like a huge market and people trafficking these things to humans who want to live for hundreds of years?
Yeah, it's gotta be because it wears off at some point. Logical.
Right. Yeah. And the whole like life cycle of how they reproduce and why this magic is like advantageous for like a naturally occurring creature to do to random shit, and all of the like implications of how you can use it on different things.
Right.
I love they use it for cooking later by like turning their boring
dumplings
into
into
like different kinds of
different
dumplings from all over the world.
Yep.
It's good. It's so good.
It's like in part 1, where she with the coin bugs and mimics. Like why coin bugs are in empty treasure chests is because they eat the mimics from inside.
Right. Yeah.
And then they just become this fake treasure, and they get picked up, and it just moves on from there.
Exactly.
He's just a fucking nerd.
And interspersed in all of that, you have gems like Hot Elf Senshi.
Hot Elf Senshi, because he is at the same time described as one of the more feminine dwarves, but his elf form is like that's like the peak of elf masculinity. Is this twink with a magician?
That's not true. We see other male elves in the
we do, but
Canaries.
Like when, oh man, that's a spoiler. Because the Senshi elf is not very far off from another very masculine elf we see later.
Yeah, that's true.
They have the same that's as much of a beard as an elf is gonna have.
Right. And speaking of that, a brief digression. Another thing we cut off right before is like a real proper introduction to the Canaries like doing things.
Oh yeah.
But we did get to see them very briefly when Kabru went to report to the Lord of the Island.
And at the very end, stepping into the dungeon.
Yes. And my favorite thing about seeing them animated in that first scene was finally learning which one of them are male and female.
I think we knew.
I initially thought that they were all women.
Yes, at the very first, yes. But I always knew that.
And then they started talking about like Captain Mithrin.
Yeah.
they
I knew
refer
about
to as
Mithrin
man
being a
few
guy, and I
times.
knew about the tall werewolf fucker being a guy. And I
Yeah.
think they are the only two.
Okay. I picked up on Mithrin eventually because he's important, but the others, I knew there were like some that were men
think
amongst
it's
them, but I could
just-
never keep straight which ones were which.
I think he's called like Lycurion or something like that. Something like Lycan, because he's
Yeah.
a werewolf.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Sithis is, of course, like the most beautiful creature you've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They're a great bunch. And it's going to be awesome to see them like in action, Mithrin specifically.
Totally.
Some of the most like mind-breaking combat you'll ever see.
It's got a sick power suite.
It's fucking awesome. He's so cool. And him and Kabru are like the power couple of the series.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call them a power couple. They're more more of like a
I think that's one
odd
of
duo.
my favorite ships. Like people like to ship Kabru and Laios, but I think Kabru and Mithrin is the better.
Yeah.
I
Laios
don't
is such a
see
fun
Laios
dynamic.
being shipped with anyone. He is such a non-romantic
He's too pure.
person. He's too pure.
Yeah.
He wants one thing, and it's monsters.
And
And
it's
he-
fucking disgusting.
And he got to milk a fucking minotaur. In episode, when was that? Painted World of Oriamis or whatever. 21.
It is very painted world, isn't it?
Yeah. Like that is,
Uh,
yeah. It's
the
so
Golden
cool.
Country. Also on the Laios Kabru dynamic, it's so fun. Even like directly after learning that he has completely misread, what's his name, Shuro, this whole time. It's like, oh, people aren't actually interested in my monster facts. He then meets Kabru and talks about monsters to Kabru. Kabru's like, wow, that's so cool.
Gee willikers.
And Leos walks away from that going like, wow, he loves monsters too. What a nice guy.
you should eat some monster. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to try that. Oh my god, he's actually gonna make it. Oh no.
Oh god.
What have I done?
Kabru is such a petty bitch.
I kind of still don't get what his deal is. He's very interested in the Toden siblings, but I don't really know why. He seems to think they're bad people.
I think his whole thing is defined by like the backstory we got about him and like having grown up near the other dungeon that then like collapsed and all the monsters came spilling out and killed everybody.
Like he's
very
curious
suspicious of them as like people who have the potential to fuck shit up with this dungeon.
Yeah, but like, why would his sights be set on them to begin with at all? It's like they've been going around saying.
Also, he seems to think that like he's the only one who should have the chance to do anything with the dungeon, which is a bit weirder of him.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's an arrogant guy. He thinks he's hot shit.
He's got main character syndrome.
He does have main character syndrome.
And his party he has also the main character syndrome.
Yeah.
And then we see them get wiped out like 3 separate times.
They just His party is not the most competent.
No. The fishman fight was cool though. Like him seeing through.
Yeah, that's true.
The fish people.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Like the fishmen being his party members, making out with one of them to wake her up. Even though she was in fish form.
That episode
thought she was
definitely
getting
makes him look
kissed
very
by a
cool.
fish. Yeah, and we saw him like kicking ass. Like once the illusion was lifted, he would just body like an entire squad of these. I don't know what they're called.
The corpse hunters.
The corpse hunters who kill people to make money off of them. So like corpse hunters who cheat.
Corpse scammers.
Yeah, scam the corpse scammers. Yeah, and he just kills them.
Yeah.
Like.
That's definitely, I think, the coolest he ever gets to be.
Yes, he's kind of like a buffoon for the rest of it.
His main character syndrome definitely gets broken down over time. It doesn't help that he spends most of the rest of the story hanging out with Mithrin, who is the biggest badass in the series.
He spends the rest of the series looking at people doing things and trying to sound smart about it. Like, oh, they're gonna do this because this. Like he's trying to 4D chess every situation, but he can't predict anything. Because Laios he's a wild card, and so is Mithrin.
Yeah.
You never know what the fuck they're gonna do.
It's funny because Mithrin is like, I shouldn't talk too much about Mithrin because we haven't gotten there yet. But
yeah, it's tough.
Yes.
We also had the Nightmare episode, which was very interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of our first peek into what's going on under the hood with Marcille.
Right. It's very, very neat. Turns out nightmares are little clams that live in your pillowcase.
Little clams that live in your pillowcase, yeah.
And that if you sleep on top of someone who is in these nightmares, you can like enter the dream. And when he does so, he becomes a dog. That is his persona.
Yeah.
In his mind, he sees himself as like this big, like proud wolf dog thing. But afterwards, she remembers him as this goofy little furball. But yeah, it's such an interesting way to show it. Like she's running from this. She's a small child in a library with the winged book that the sorcerer has.
Right.
Like how she would know what that looks like.
Oh, that's true.
That is
true.
That is the book.
I didn't really think about the implications of that, but
right.
Ooh,
so she's running around with that, trying to escape this monster thing.
Yes,
and Laios is there to help. And when they get caught, the monster is really only fucking Laios up, because she's she's running from death, but not because she will get consumed by it. Everyone else will.
Laios has to like figure out what's going on with like what the fear is.
Right.
That
and the fear is death, but not for her own sake. It's for everything around her.
The idea of everybody else like growing old and dying.
Right. It's like we see a painting of her dad in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Her dad is long dead. She's like 113, more than that, 140. I don't know how old she is. But Daddy
let's
is
see if
long
the
gone.
wiki says. Marcille. She's 50 years old, apparently.
Only 50.
That's what it says on the Dungeon Meshi fandom wiki. So
That can't be right. That's a baby.
take it perhaps with a grain of salt.
That's an elf baby. Like they get 500 years old,
Yeah.
which he also describes as they only get 500 years old now. Apparently, they used to get much more than that, but
Yeah.
for some, I don't know why. Like their lifespans have shortened significantly, but it's still like half a millennia.
Right. And it gets into the fantasy racism too, because
Right.
she's a half elf who like mainly just like lives in the human world. She doesn't have a lot of interactions with other elves, and other elves even consider her to be like kind of a mongrel.
Right.
So that is some conditions that can kind of fuck someone up
Right.
over time, it turns out.
Like only befriending the short-lived species who
Yeah.
will all die before you.
And it's funny that there's kind of a layer of hypocrisy to it too, as she's like a victim of fantasy racism, but also is a huge orc racist.
Yeah. Yeah. But the
So-
races are all orcs. They're equally racist anti each other.
That's true, yes. But Marcille, she got some issues. She's got some things to work through.
And they resolve the nightmare by using the book. Like she throws the sorcerer book into the monster, or whatever, and
Yep.
it goes away. It's all very obvious in a sense when you know the whole story. It's like, oh.
Right. It's definitely good foreshadowing.
So it's tough to call it foreshadowing just because of how blunt it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the fear. And what she's trying to overcome is
Right.
death. Like she even talks about, like, she knows the dark magic she does because she wants to. It's like the idea of creating energy out of nothing. Like she takes it from a dimension with infinite energy and puts it into our world, and that's how she restores Fallen, stuff like that, even though she was like almost all gone.
Right. Yeah. And we shall see where that brings her in the future.
Surely nothing bad will come of that.
In the meantime, right around this point, they also add Izutsumi to the party. After reading the manga, I definitely felt like Izutsumi did not really mesh. She, like you were saying before, she's a late addition. She doesn't really have any close relationships with any of the characters. Marcille is kind of the
She
closest
does get
one.
close with Marcille after some time,
Yeah.
especially after the painting world, where she's just like a cat.
I enjoyed her a lot more in anime form, though.
Yes.
Maybe it's because I was never just like waiting for her to do something important like I was through the whole manga,
Right.
but it was very enjoyable to see her
Like she's a
hanging out and
capable
doing
fighter.
cat shit.
She's
Yeah.
a capable ninja fighter. Like we see her basically solo an ice golem,
Right.
but then she also
I-
fucks up and gets stalked by wolves. It's like she doesn't do teamwork.
I really enjoyed the premise of her as a character, this like cat human hybrid. And especially the incredibly memeable shot of her saying like who would get excited about seeing a beastman naked.
And everybody just piling on Laios.
Yeah.
Stop! Let me see the base of her
I was
tail.
like, just let me count how many nipples she has.
And it is confirmed that she has two.
Is that confirmed?
It is in a note in one of the side
In
chapters.
one of the manga extras?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Coincidentally, she has two.
Okay.
But also, he's like, let me see the base of her tail. You
Yeah.
pervert. And it's like, it's so pure, though. It's like, he's not turned on.
It's not sexual at all. He's
It's
just curious.
professional curiosity.
Exactly.
Just wants to learn.
Yes.
But then also it's funny
And
that in the painted world, because it's like a realm of all magic, she, like the human side of her gets repressed because that is what was added. She was originally just a cat.
yes.
The human soul
I don't
part
know
of
if
her,
they ever like actually fully explain this in the anime.
not in the anime, and also not in the manga until like some epilogue chapters.
Oh, that's right.
She has
yeah.
a talk with the werewolf guy because he can repress his, what is it? He can suppress his real soul and become all beast. But if no, he can repress something and become all beast. But if Izutsume does the same thing, she just becomes all cat.
Right.
Like she wonders if there's a way for her to do it to become human. But it's like
Yeah.
you were never human. You can only
Right.
become normal cat.
yeah.
She is
I
a
love that.
cat.
She's
She is
not a
cat
person
girl.
cursed
She's a
with
girl
being a
cat.
She's a cat cursed with being a human.
Right.
And so when the magic is suppressed, all of her human instincts and like higher consciousness functions disappear, and she goes
She
back
just becomes a
acting
lazy
like
cat.
a cat.
She's just hanging on to Marcille at every turn, just like sleeping on her, resting,
yeah.
being weird.
It's like, what the hell has gotten into Izutsume?
She's just really wants to be pet all the time.
And then when she snaps out of it, she's like, "Oh my god!
Oh my
what have I
fucking
been
god!"
doing?" Humiliating.
There's like a horrifying flashback. No,
Yeah.
that is so out of character. She's a good girl. Oh yeah, and she joins the whole team because like they have a plan, but they don't have a plan. They want to turn a dragon into a human again, so she wonders if they can turn her into a quote unquote human again.
Yeah, well, initially she just says, I know that you do dark magic. I want you to use your black
you could probably
magic to
do
transform
something with
me."
that.
And
then it's like they have the whole.
Marcel's like, well, no, I can't really, but we're trying to figure out how to do something similar.
Yeah.
So maybe
They're like,
if you
we're making
around.
this up as we go. Like we're gonna find Falin and we're gonna do our best to help her, but we actually don't have any goddamn idea
Yeah.
how this even fucking works. So we're gonna find the sorcerer, talk to him.
Speaking of
him.
which, I love the running gag throughout this of Marcial's metaphor about souls being like eggs.
Oh yeah, it keeps coming back.
And how Senshi keeps bringing it back up. After the first time, she's like, well, I mean, Senshi, it was just a metaphor. Like, they're not really eggs. They are different in a lot of ways.
But then no, it actually turned out that it's
Yeah.
the perfect metaphor in every sense of the way. Because now Falin's soul is like an omelet. It's an egg and something else, and it got mixed together. And picking it
You
apart
can
is
pick
gonna
all
be
the bits out of the omelet.
Or maybe it was something else. It's like it's so mixed up now that you can't really separate them, or they have no idea how to do it.
Yeah. No. It was.
You
what
can
was
pick the parts
metaphor
of
that
the
he
omelet,
used
but
at
then
the
you
end?
just have a fucked up omelet.
I think he said that like Phelan's soul was like a fried egg on toast. Like you could separate them, whereas Izutsumi is an omelet.
Maybe that's it.
And all of the bits are baked into the omelet, so you could pick them out, but it would like rip her apart.
Yeah, it would destroy the egg.
Yeah.
Another great little episode we had was the doppelganger. I think that might be
Oh my god.
one of my
so-
favorites.
So funny.
It's such an ingenious concept that the copies are made up of everyone else's memory of that person, and that's how
Yeah.
they could separate the real Laios right away, because everybody's idea of him was completely fucked up.
Yeah. And they could also separate Laios's versions of all the other people because they're like, he is not good at paying attention to detail.
Yeah, these are all wrong. It's like the different Laioses. One of them is like a big dumb brute, but I don't know if that's Marcille or Chilchuk's version of him.
It is fun to speculate about whose doppelgangers.
One of
were
them is
whose.
just like kind of like very soft, like effeminate almost.
Yeah.
Just that's probably Marcille's because she sees him as male Falin. So that's the Laios with the Falin eyes. just like blushing.
I
Though
wonder-
I think they do say that for the first time she met him, she was horrified. Like, he's such a brute.
Yeah.
He's way too masculine. What do you mean? And everybody else was like, he's just a guy. What do you mean?
Trying to find if I can see like the images of
Mm-hmm.
each of the doppelgangers.
And they sort out. Like there's the one Marcel who looks like the Western comic lady face.
Oh, here we go. There is a confirmation from
Oh.
the mangaka in an extra.
Like
So
who's
the
who?
the feminine Leos is Senshi's.
Oh.
She says to dwarfs, male tall men look rather feminine. And then the dangerous, aggressive one is Chilchuk's. Because Chilchuk thinks that he's like irrational.
The big one? Or is that Marcel?
Let's see. And then the one that looks like Phelan is or no, the big huge one is Marcial's.
Right.
It says here she'd heard he looked just like Phelan, so she was startled when he didn't, and
Right.
hasn't let that first impression go.
Right, it's the first impression thing.
Let's see. The Marcial with like the weird Botox lips and everything was Senshi's memory.
Yeah.
He's been told how terrible elves are since he was small, and it's affected his subconscious. Chilchuk.
There's like a small baby Chilchuk, which is obviously Senshi's, because he sees him as a growing boy.
Yeah.
And there's the Chilchuk with the scarf. That is Laios's, because it's not a scarf.
Right. It's
and
not
then-
a scarf. It's like just a little neck
And
wrap.
then the two remaining ones are so close that they have to be
Yes.
sorted.
The note on Marcial's version of Chochuk is, even though she's been told he's an adult, deep in her heart, she still doesn't get it.
Right.
So he's just kind of like he's got rounder eyes. He's just kind of a little more innocent.
I think there's, for the Senshis, one of them doesn't have a hole in his helmet. I think that's Laios's, because he doesn't pay attention to small details like that. Then there's the hyper masculine Senshi,
Yes.
like the hot Senshi. Which
So who
is-
do you think the hot Senshi belongs to?
Oh, to Chilchuk, because
Yeah.
because halflings have foots, like
Apparently, a surprising number of halfloots idolize
They
dwarves'
idolize.
masculine appearance.
right, yeah. And somehow the rest of the group was unable to pick him out as a fake one. I don't know, because when he asks about it, it's just like, "What do you mean? Senshi has always been handsome."
Yeah, I love that so much.
And then he puts it down in a note. Oh, Senshi is handsome. Senshi is cool. Yeah.
That was so funny. My partner who loves Senshi hated the hot Senshi. You're like, this guy's not cute.
He's so awesome, though. And like they figure out another fake Marcel because they open their magic books, and one of them is just like
Has scribbles in it.
Scribbles.
Yeah.
Someone who has no idea what magic is. Yeah, that's a great episode, especially because it's Laios in charge of sorting people out, and he's just like the least people person there is.
Yeah.
Kabaru doesn't even know the group. He probably could have done it in 5 seconds.
They're like, oh god, Leos has to figure this out. We're all fucked.
It's like our lives are depending on this fucking
And
guy.
then he does his whole research and everything, and he's like, yeah, I still have no idea.
Yeah, that's shit. Yeah, they cheat the Senshis into one of them, because the whole egg is the perfect food, and then one of them
Yep.
says he took as many as he could, and Senshi would not do that. Senshi cares about the
The well-being of the group.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like, you don't take all the eggs because then there's no more harpies, and you need the harpies because it's all like a big cycle.
Exactly. That's more of that just like good character shit. Like
That's not good shit. It's just so much good shit. Like, you have the whole thing. Oh, we didn't even talk about Senshi and the Griffin. That's like my favorite part of the manga, I think. And they did
yeah,
it.
so
They did it
let's
justice.
talk about that next.
Like, you get the So they get to this big pillory room. Lots of fun shenanigans take place, but of note is that Senji is fucking horrified of the idea that there's a griffin there, and we get to know why. That's also where we find out that his group originally found the dungeon. They dug their way into it, like, on accident, and found the whole thing. Then they all die.
They all die.
Because they get chased down and picked off one by one by a griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, he's left with the question of, was his last meal before everyone died, was that actually dwarf flesh, or was it the griffin like he said it was?
Right.
Did the griffin actually die? Was it griffin soup? And where did everyone else go?
Yeah.
So that's like his biggest fear, basically. Did he actually eat dwarf? So,
and they drag out the process of discovery so long, where they cook the griffin and he eats it, and it's like,
this tastes nothing like the soup I had.
This isn't it.
This isn't it. I'm a cannibal. Fuck.
I'm a cannibal. And then Leos comes in with the expert knowledge. Says, no, it wasn't a griffin at all.
It was a hippogriff, and that's why it was chasing
It had
your
gone
group,
through.
because you had a fucking horse, and it was in heat.
Yep. And that's why, like, the impact on the helmet that you thought was a hammer blow from the, like, two members of your party killing each other was actually...
That was a hoof.
The hippogriff's hoof, yeah.
And so they put the meat in a changeling circle, turn it into a hippogriff, and eat it. I don't know how they knew it turned into hippogriff. It's like they put it in there, it goes poof, and then they're like, yeah, done. That's hippogriff.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
That's got to be it. Couldn't possibly be anything else, especially when later the dumplings turn into like 15,000 different kinds. It could have turned into any meat.
I guess, like, I don't know, maybe things have, like, one other thing that they're the closest to that
maybe it's like the only other animal of that kind is the hippogriff.
Yeah.
It's like griffin and hippogriff, no others.
And then they goof it and accidentally walk through one themselves.
Yup. Oh, that's also great. Like, they all wake up as different races.
The dysfunction of them trying to operate in their new bodies is so good.
Yeah. Spellcaster is no longer an elf. She has no mana reserves at all. Immediately
she can cast like one spell and then passes out.
Yeah. Fighter is now a dwarf. He's very strong but has poor stamina.
I love at the start he's like, wow, dwarves are so fucking cool.
This is so handy. I'm so fucking strong. And then it's like 2 seconds later, God, I'm out of breath. It takes a lot of energy moving this whole body around. Chilchuk is suddenly 10 times his normal size. He's still not a fighter, but he's the biggest one.
So he has to like try to wield all of Leos' weapons and armor and everything.
He kind of has to be the ad hoc tank. It's like, you can wear the armor and shield. That's what you get. You know you can't use it, but you have that. And Senshi becomes an elf, so obviously completely useless for fighting. Like, he doesn't know how to do magic, which his body is suited for. He knows how to fight with an axe and a pod shield,
which he
can't even lift now.
Yeah.
So he's just like this. He's a fragile, beautiful flower like Hilda.
Yes. And Izitsumi turns into a dog.
Oh, she becomes a dog. She becomes Inutsumi.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It goes on for a while, too. Like, you can tell that Ryoko Kui was enjoying that because it takes them quite a bit to change back.
It takes like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
It's like midway through the final episode, like right before they enter the steampunk elevator. Oh yeah, they fight the gargoyles. And that's where they turn one of them into one of those like Greek attraction things with the mouth. You stick your hand in.
Oh yeah.
So they make it fly through a ring of changeling, and it becomes this weird thing. And that's how they... So it itself becomes a changeling circle, and they stick the dumplings in its mouth and change them.
Yep.
The other one becomes like a baby fountain that pees.
That pees.
All in all, great. Great finale.
Awesome. And it ends with them determining their plan to go forward. They've got to find the winged lion that the people in the Golden Country said was like the guardian of the kingdom.
Yeah, that's funny though. Like they present him as this guardian deity kind of thing. You have to find the golden lion. He will help you.
It's very cool once you know that the golden lion is a thing. Then looking back, like across the rest of the show and seeing how much winged lion iconography
winged lion
there
motifs
is.
all over the place.
Right. It's like even Leos's sword.
Leos's sword,
like the wings and like the
because
lion
he took
mane.
it from the golden armor, which was also a winged lion.
Yeah, it had like a lion helm.
Yeah, it's fucking everywhere.
And they will use its power to defeat the lunatic magician, as they translated on Netflix.
Not a mad sorcerer, but
yeah, lunatic magician does not roll off the tongue as well as mad sorcerer. But
and I guess I don't know
the same thing.
The actual definition of a lunatic. It sounds more severe. Sounds less in control than Thistle actually is.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say he's a lunatic. He's
definitely mad.
Gone mad with power.
My man is pissed all the time.
Yeah. He's also so fucking cool. Like this little twink jester.
Yep.
Just so angry. He's awesome.
And with that done, they're going to eat Leos's sister.
Yeah. They enter like the fast travel elevator and have a final cutscene, and it fades to black. It's very video gamey in a way. It's like they step into the auto transport thing, and then we get some exposition, and it ends. Like,
yep.
they have some time to sit down and talk it all over. Like, they talk about Falin a bit. Marcel cries. Izutsume shows her development by trying to console her. And just reading the room perfectly to a T, Laios says, "We should eat her."
Is that also when we saw the first sketches of Leos's ultimate monster?
I think we've seen them before, actually.
Have we seen that before?
Yeah,
okay.
I think there was some in his notebook very early on, like the three-headed chimera thing. But yeah, the logic follows that the stuff they ate from the dragon did not go back into the pile and become Chimera Falin. So if you eat something, it is no longer a part of the dungeon. It's no longer a monster. Mm-hmm. So if they can separate Falin from the dragon and eat the dragon before waking the rest of her up, before resting her again, then the dragon bits will be gone and that part of her soul will be gone. So that is the plan.
And in order to eat the entire dragon, they have to think through a list of every single person they know.
They need so many people, and for all of them to eat like 20 pounds of pure beef.
You're like, we don't have that many friends.
You realize how big she is? That is, feed 10,000 villages. That is, it's a monumental task, but as is the tradition for this party, it's a very touch and go. It's like, you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. First, we find her. Then we find the sorcerer, and then we try to find people to eat her. For now, let's just get there.
That moment is so like smack yourself in the face. You're like, oh, of course, that's how they're going to deal with this. They've got a problem. They're going to solve it by eating the problem.
They have to eat her. It's the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I love the way they always find a way for it to come back to that feels natural.
Yes. Solution to things is very often like, can I treat you to a meal? I want to have dinner with everyone is like Laios' solution to a couple of disputes. Have some food, let's eat.
Yeah,
And
let's
then-
eat. Let's talk about it while we eat.
And of course, this isn't like at this point. It's not like that is the plan. It's like it's the first proper solution anyone has presented. So for now,
Yeah.
let's go with that. So yeah, 10 out of 10, perfect.
That's it.
I'll probably give this whole first season an 8 or a 9.
I think it's an 8 for me.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards 8, but that's mostly because it's not done. Like once we
Right.
get to the final of season 2, that could easily be a 10.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's-
love this series so much. It's probably my favorite. it's so good.
It's just such a simple joy. Like every week, every chapter, every episode, it's always just going to be like a little bit fun, a little bit cool, occasionally like blows your mind with something,
Right.
but mostly you can just settle in.
And it's just it's flawless. It's like
Watch some goons do some stupid shit.
there's no part of it that doesn't fit. It's the manga is perfect in my brain. It's like it's a perfect piece of media. The adaptation, I don't know why it's not like higher. I feel like it's missing something, and I don't know what it is.
I think some of like the comedic timing is not as good in the show as
might
it
be
was
it.
in the manga. It's hard to adapt those things one to one.
Yeah.
I think the art style also elevates the manga a little bit,
Right.
but you know these are very small nitpicks.
So what are you more excited for? Like going into a bit of spoilers, like for season 2.
Okay.
What are you
Yes,
more
officially
excited for?
spoiler time coming in. Anybody who doesn't want to hear us talk about stuff that's going to be adapted later, get out now. Things I'm most excited for. I really, really want to see the Winged Lion.
Oh yes.
I think that if they can do like the horror aspects of the Winged Lion, then that will
Yeah.
fucking kick ass. Obviously the Canaries, as we've been talking about,
Canaries
I
are gonna
wanna
be
see
great.
like Mithrin fight scenes. If
Yeah.
they go half as hard as they did on the first Chimera fight, then that's gonna be so fucking cool.
And while it's a short little thing, in more than one way, I am looking forward to the Bicorn chapter.
Yeah, that's just like
It's a short
that's
little
just good
moment,
fun.
but it's so perfect.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the first episode of season 2.
It's very
Because-
early.
There's like a little like interlude in the manga before that, but I don't think they're going to like pick up season 2 with like stuff happening on the surface. I think they're going to want to start out with the main characters and then they'll go back up.
Speaking of the surface, there's the whole thing about talking to that one dwarf governor who has like the big like Junji Ito page turn face.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't
yeah, like
he
the
doesn't give a shit.
it's like the Shadow Governor. Is that what he's called?
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
a criminal kind of thing.
Yeah,
He
like,
runs things
the
from
island's
within the
underworld.
dungeon, and they have a
Yeah.
room where it's exactly dungeon not dungeon split, and like what happens if you arrest someone there.
Yeah.
It's all like that is gonna be so good. Yeah, that's
The,
that's very early too. I think
I don't remember when that happens.
it's gotta be early because it's like before they go further down. It's Kabaru, and I don't know if the Canaries are also there. That's when we get to see Mithrin fight first, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that might be right away.
That might
it
be
gets
right
a
away.
little murky for me once because later on when
Yeah.
the dungeon starts shifting and like the bottom layers come closer to the top.
Yes,
And
I think
characters
it's
moved around a
Kabaru
bunch.
going in like right as they enter. He like pleads with the governor to evacuate the dungeon,
Yeah.
and he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Because that's what the conversation they just had with Gabru was
Yes.
like we need to evacuate the dungeon.
I think that's
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Also, the Thistle backstory arc.
Thistle backstory. Yeah,
Yeah, with like him growing up beside Delgal and everything.
heartbreaking.
That was
just-
so heartbreaking.
He's just a great character.
Yeah.
On the first level. Succubus is gonna be fucking awesome too.
Succubus is gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be so fun, and it's gonna be very fun what they do with it. especially
Yes.
now that they're going so heavy into the Fallen Marcial thing. Apparently, they added, like, they show this montage of Fallen bringing Marcial's stuff, like, while they're riding the elevator. She's thinking back, and one of the things she brings is, like, a lily, and that's, like, the Yuri flower.
Yeah.
So that wasn't in the manga. That was added. And at the same time, they keep saying she brought her all that stuff because she wanted to eat it with her. It's like, you don't eat lilies. What do you mean? Do you eat flowers? I know you're an elf, but not that kind of elf. No, season 2 is going to be so great. I hope they go all the way through. Like, they're going to have to make it a little bit longer, I think, if they want to do that.
No, they'll definitely adapt the rest of it. Because
I get, it does only
season
go to,
1
like,
adapted up through chapter 52, and
Right.
there are
97.
97 chapters.
Right. I thought there was more.
Yeah.
No, it's actually, that's probably another reason why I like it so much. It's, for a finished piece of media of this high quality, it's also kind of short.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't overstay its
also-
welcome.
It's not like big chapters like sometimes you get with like monthly
The
stuff.
art is just, like, gorgeous sometimes. Like, some of the spreads. Like, I think that my favorite is still, like, Fallen gets to the top level and the floor breaks beneath her. And, like, there's this 2-page spread of the Chimera form, like, falling through the floor into darkness, and it just looks
Yeah.
so fucking good.
I really like the shot of the island, like from the, like across the ocean when the island like splits open and that like massive winged serpent comes out of it.
Right.
That one is really good.
God, it's gotta be so good. It's just peak fucking fantasy monsters and bullshit and demons and elves. It's awesome. It's also gonna be sick when we get to the part, I think, is it Thistle, who, like, reveals some facts about being a half-elf and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You live even longer, but you're also sterile.
Yeah.
That's like, damn.
And going like all the way full in on the Marcial trauma and heel turn.
Right. Yeah, it's perfect. It's so great. I'm so
just looking
jealous
at-
of everybody who got to meet Ryuko Kui.
Yeah.
It was like a book signing in LA, and she was just at AX. I was like, God.
I'm going to just send you a bunch of images of the winged lion that I'm really excited to see.
There's so many. Like, he's weirdly
Appear.
hot in a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why this lion man has to be, like, Gaston buff. Yeah.
Here, so you can...
Do we even know what she looks like, Kui? I wonder if she did the
I don't. I don't
wonder
know
if
if
she
she's like
did
one of these
the
anonymous
I think she
manga
is.
artists.
It's like, she doesn't show up when you Google her. So I wonder if she did the signing in, like, a mask. Or just explicitly somehow enforced no pictures. Because there's just no pictures of her.
I don't know. There you go. These are like 5 images that I want to see.
Here's a picture of her hand. I found her.
Oh,
I found her hair.
a true creature of mystery.
There she is drawing a canary, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think that she'd look like.
You can't even see. It's like half, like, medium length hair and a comfy sweater. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely a comfy sweater sort of gal.
Yeah. God.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just excited. It's gonna be so fucking good. I can't wait.
Yeah. And on that note, I don't think we have any idea when season 2 is going to be yet. It'll
No.
probably be a year or two, unfortunately.
Give it to me now.
I know.
Directly in my
But-
veins.
We will be back as soon as that comes around. You know we're going to have shit to talk about then.
Indeed.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.